Hello gang, hello friends, hello gang friends. Thanks for joining me today. I'm in the garden. Join me to paint Sandy Cheeks, the character, nothing unseemly. So far we have painted these 4 characters from SpongeBob, Gerald, Gary, Wilson, Jr. SquarePants was his name, and Squidward, Patrick and SpongeBob. Today we're going to do Sandy Cheeks, and we're going to start with Angelic Sonata and Royal Pink, both from Madame Glam, and their ombre brush, and then we're going to do an ombre with them. So we'll get both the colours on, and then we'll just swipe from side to side at the join line and move up a bit and then down a bit, up, down, just to get them to blend. Colours that are sort of near each other in the rainbow? No, not necessarily. But colours that blend well together blend better together than colours that don't blend well together. Surprise! So we'll cure that to do 2 coats. Now we're taking brown gel paint. Are you ready to map out the design? Because we need to know how to draw it before we paint it. Let's go. We're starting with a big sort of square oval, but I'm going to say I wish I'd have done a more bean shape at this point, because this bit here where I'm coming down from the side, I should have angled it in more towards the center of the bottom of the oval, because I need to change it. So I'd recommend doing a bean shape, a bean that is curving like a smile. And then we've added a trapezoid, I want to say. I think it's a trapezoid on top. And then in between, so right where they join, we're going to add 2 circles, which I don't do the best job of, but we're going to sort of rectify them when we come to filling them in. I keep saying we, as if you're coming along to help me. No, I had to do it all by myself. And then we're doing a little U shape at the bottom of the should be bean. That will be her chin. And then we're doing a smile, and then that's the top of the smile, and then the bottom is a big dip U shape. So that's going to be beg your pardon, her mouth. And then we're adding 2 ovals, well, sort of ovals, for the ears, and then 2 little lines for her skinny neck. And I'm roughly marking out where the eyeballs and the nose will be, just because at this point I knew her should be bean was far too big, but we're powering through. We're going to do an angled line here, and then this one coming down. So the horizontal one is angled, the vertical one is angled, but not as angled as the horizontal one. And then we'll do 1 on the bottom and 2 lines. That's not straight. Fix it. There we go. To be the tops of her legs. I forgot to say, how dare I, I'm following Ball Pit Addict's tutorials for the SpongeBob set. She's amazing. Go follow her. Now we're doing a half circle from one side of the horizontal line to the other, a semicircle, and then mirroring it above, going sort of through her neck, but not through her neck. Don't paint over the neck, although it doesn't matter at this point if you do. Okay, we all right? We good? Is everybody okay? Let's move on. Now we cured that. You want to cure the life out of that, because now we're going to fill it all in. I'm using the white gel paint, and I'm making her eyes, I'm trying to make them better, bigger and rounder. I find it easier to make shapes as you're filling them in. Oh, messed up here. So scrape it into the white, and I'm wiping it on my hand because I'm an animal. And then we're going to sort of rectify that bit there. And then the same with this other eye. We want to make it a bit bigger and a bit rounder. But yeah, the whole mouth section below the eyes here, or the what would you call that? Because her mouth is the mouth, the bottom of her face. I do have to kind of manipulate the shape a bit as we fill it in, but you'll see. So we're going to mix white and yellow gel paint to get this creamy yellow. And we're going to fill in the bottom of her face with this. So go around the eyes, and we're also going to include that bit, that little U shape we did underneath the should be bean. That's how I'm going to refer to it, because it should have been a bean shape. Fill that all in with this, and I am full curing a lot throughout this whole video. If I'm happy with a step, I will full cure it. No shame in that. Just if you're happy, full cure it, because then if you mess up on the next step, you can wipe without worrying about wiping away anything that you're happy with. So here, I'm going to try and cut off that corner by taking from the bottom of the should be bean and make it more bean. Bring it sort of up at a steeper angle than it was. It was looking a bit too square. And then we'll do the same on the other side, just trying to cut that squareness off from it. But I think the whole yellow section on this is a bit too big anyway. This whole nail is borderline. It's on the cusp of, yeah, it looks like her, good job. And on the other side of the cusp it's rubbish, throw it in the bin. But I've made my peace with it, I think. So we'll full cure that. And now we're mixing yellow and brown. This is going to be her brown skin, no, fur colour. But I do change it. I'll tell you, I'll show you, and you'll see all of those things when I change the colour of this. But I'll just be painting over what we're doing here. So we're going to fill in all around the eyes and her ears. And then the top of her head, we're going to give a slight curve because she doesn't have a flat head. But I didn't want to make it too much taller. So I've done as shallow a curve as possible so that it's not straight, but we haven't given her like a dome head. And then we will bring it into a little V between the eyes. And we'll fill in her ears, and we'll also fill in her neck. Yes, just to reiterate, I'm following bullpit_addicts SpongeBob tutorial. She's on Instagram. She is amazing, and she makes these seem achievable. So that's what we've been trying to achieve. I think this is attempt number 2 of Sandy, because I tried to get her right down to her boots in like Bullpit Addict did, but then I realised that the nails that Maddox, her name is at Bullpit Addict, her nails were a lot longer, so she managed to get the boots in without maybe making everything so much smaller to fit it on the nail. And where I tried to get the boots in and had to make it a lot smaller, I just sort of gave up when it got to the face, because everything was teeny tiny and it was pissing me off. So now we've mixed the tiniest bit of black gel paint with red gel paint, and we're doing her mouth. But I need to reshape the sides a bit. So here, instead of it being such a sort of steep angle, I'm bringing it down a bit from the top, this bit here. I'm going to come down a bit. How the fuck do I describe this? Well, just like what I'm doing. It looks like a French tip, doesn't it? That's her mouth, a French tip. Not that they're easy to do. People are like, oh, I'm easy today, I'll have a French. That's not easy. Quick and easy. No, don't be ridiculous. We've added a little U shape at the bottom of her mouth to tie in with the shape of the chin there. And then we're full curing. And we're adding red, pink and ultra pink together. I did just do it with the red and pink, but didn't like it. So we're adding ultra pink, and we're going to go over her tongue, which I've already put on there, but which is just a curve, and then bring it down into that little dip in the mouth that we just made. I did the same with Patrick. His tongue, did it one colour and then added ultra pink. So yeah, just a curve from side to side at the bottom and then into that dip, and full cure, because now we're adding the little tooth, and if that goes wrong, it will be a pain to wipe off, avoiding a wet tongue. So I'm doing lots of little strokes next to each other to form a square. Yeah, I definitely find it easier to draw shapes like filling them in, as opposed to drawing the outline and then filling it in. It's too much pressure to draw a perfect outline. Start from the middle and work outwards. and then we'll straighten off the bottom, and again full cure. And now I'm going to take a breath because I've been talking a lot. We're going to fill in everywhere apart from that oval around her neck in white. How are you all? Are you all okay? Let me know in the comments how you are. I do read them and I do like to hear from you. I recognise your names. I like to know how you are. I saw one of you in the comments of... Oh, Dexter's barking. In the comments of a short I was watching the other day, I was like, I know her! I know her! She's a friend from work! I just thought that was really weird. Like, in the whole big wide world of the YouTube internet. And I saw one of you guys. Oh, that reminds me. There was a comment from one of you that said that Patrick looked like he'd just jumped off the screen. And I saw it as a notification on my phone. And I wanted to say thank you, but then I clicked on it. Anyway, I couldn't find the comment again. Thank you for that. I think he's been my favourite to do so far because he's been the easiest. So now, we're taking a grey gel polish. And where we've done the curve around her neck, we're doing that as a grey line, but sort of much thicker than the thin line we did to create the curve. And that's going to be the back of her suit, like the back of the collar. So we'll cure that in place, and then whatever's left we're filling in with black gel paint, but not painting over her neck, which we will edit in a bit. This gap here where I'm painting now, between her neck and the white, where there's now black, I want to make that the black thinner there. So we'll edit that in a minute by adding to her neck, and just be really, really thin with black gel paint, with any of the gel paints really, because they're super opaque, so you don't need to go thick, but obviously with black you just want to make sure you don't go too thick that it crinkles. So here we're just going to widen her neck at the bottom, and then I was going to say smallen, that's not a fucking word. Thin out the gap between, thin out that black line between her neck and the white, and then full cure. And here's where I'm changing her colour. So the yellow and brown we made to make her fur colour, I've added orange. Oh, such a good orange. And sound like I was possessed. So now I have gone over all the brown areas with that colour. So I think it suits it better. It's more like her colour. So we're going to outline here. We're going to do a line parallel to the curve that's around the neck. And then same, we're going to give a slight curve to the bottom of her suit. And then we've gone down the side. And then we'll do each side of her leg and the arm. Nice thin strokes. Don't put a lot of pressure down. The less pressure you put down, the thinner the stroke will be. And then obviously the more you put down, the thicker it will be, because you're sort of pressing the bristles down and spreading them out a bit. And now we're going to create a yellow square with yellow gel paint. You can use gel polish for all of this if you don't have gel paints. I just don't know how I lived without gel paints. Now I have them. So we cured that, and then we're doing the world's smallest acorn just by doing a little U shape. This is with her fur colour. And we're going to fill it in and then full cure it. And then we're going to use the brown gel paint just as is, straight out the pot. And we're going to give it a lid by doing a little straight line in the centre and then bringing it round each side of the bottom of the acorn, like a little hat. And then we will cure that. And that yellow square, you saw I didn't paint the outline of a square. I started by sort of filling it in. I don't know if that makes sense. And then we're outlining the back of the grey line and then separating between the white and the grey. And the grey, that flat end of the grey, the outer end, so the back of the line, still finished within the white at the front. So it didn't overlap the white. The white is going to go beyond where the grey ends. Yeah? We all good? Okay. Then we've done a little U shape and then a tiny triangle and a wiggle, which sounds really simple, but I did it about 5 times. That's her zip, but just a little U, a triangle and a wiggle. That is all. That is all she wrote. And then we're going to outline the square and add some dots around her, I'm going to call it a collar, neck hole. That doesn't sound very nice. And look at this Madame Glam brush. With the Madame Glam brushes, you can dot. You know, other brushes, like this brush, which is the 0 long from Crystal Nails, I can't dot with because the product at the very tip of the brush, if I'm trying to do a dot, it sort of works its way up the brush a bit and it annoys the bejesus out of me. But the Madame Glam brushes, you can just dot with until your heart's content or until the product runs out. So we're going to outline her face, and again doing hardly any pressure and using just the tip of the brush. And this chin line goes into the yellow a little bit, and this bit goes into the face a little bit as well, where that line starts. Will come down, and you can see more the shape that I didn't get when I did the outline. It comes down more at an angle at the sides, more towards the center of her chin. So we'll join those up, and where we brought the chin in a bit, and now we're outlining the cheeks. Oh dear, oh no, it's happening. We have that kind of pouch where we've just brought the chin in a bit, the line of the chin. It's hot, I'm blaming the heat. And now we're going to do a nose, which is just a curve, and then a U underneath it, and fill it in. And I'd used the tongue pink for that. So just a little curve, and then make a U underneath it and fill it in. And now her eyes, we're going to dot, and always make note for eyes and things how much white there is. You know, is the black dot taking up most of the eye, or is it really small and there's a lot of white? I think things like that make a big difference. So now we're going as thin as possible around the mouth and around that sort of dip at the bottom of the mouth, and then across the top, and then I mess up and get it on the tooth. I'm going to just scrape it off because I just can't be bothered to try and wipe that bit without wiping the rest of the outline, or wiping it all and starting again. So we just scraped it off. And now we're doing one of those birds, the M-shaped birds for her tongue. So a curve starting in the middle of the tongue, going to the left, and then from the right joining up to that, just little curves. And then we'll outline her tooth, and the line in the middle of her tooth doesn't come all the way to the bottom. So now she's got 2 teeths, and then little smile lines, and these annoyed me because it kind of just highlighted how I messed up, because they're too close to her eyes, and they're too high up, and they're too squished, but we're not starting again now. And her eyelashes, we have one line going straight in the center, and then a line either side, and we'll outline the nose. But the eyelashes to the side of the center one, they come in at an angle, but not to meet the bottom of the middle eyelash. So they do come in at an angle, but they're still quite separate. Oh, and now we have her flower. So we're using the yellow gel paint to do a little oval. And then I mapped out where the petals should be and how many there should be. I don't know why, because I think I was just doing it for like a guide, as emotional support for doing the flower, because the petals are really wide, but there's 6 and they're next to each other, but they don't have gaps in between. And I was overthinking it for sure. So we'll just get petally type shapes. But yeah, they're quite flat at the top, or the end of the petal that's not the end that's at the middle. I mean, you could do just dots around it and then shape the dots, you know, pull them out a bit at the sides to make them wider at the top, but I don't know, I was overthinking it and I messed that bit up, so I just wiped it off, and because I'd cured everything else, then it was fine to wipe. And now we are going to do a big curve coming out of either side of the flower in black, and then join it up to her collar to give her the helmet. Are these called helmets? Yeah, I think so. And then her flower, I saw that Maddox Ball Pit Addict outlined in black, but I was also looking at a picture of Sandy, just a googled picture, and it's a darker pink that outlines it. So we've just mixed a little bit of red into the pink, and the outline, so where we define each petal, where we come in between the petals, it doesn't go all the way to the yellow. Just another thing. It's all little bits like that that make the difference when doing something that has to look like something that exists. Just little things to make note of. And then we're adding a white line under the black line. It's about 1.5 times the thickness of the black line. 1.75, I'd say. But just a white line. And do that in front of all the black bits. And then we have a big reflection here. So it's like a big comma that's curved at each end. And you can't see very well because I had to turn the brightness up because I like to film in the dark. I like to have just my desk lamp on and the rest of the room is pitch black. And it's nighttime usually. So it's just how I work best. So I have to turn the brightness up, but it's kind of washed out these bits. And we're doing the SpongeBob wiggles and a little circle, just because I've done a circle on all the others. And then we're going to velvet top it with the Madame Glam velvet. And then she will be done so. She's okay. She's passable, I think. She's not the best. She's not the best. I think because I was most excited about doing her, that I just overthought it and end up sort of not doing the best job. But yeah, the SpongeBob wiggles are just the same that we've got on these others. The sort of flower-shaped swirly shit that's just floating around in the background. And that's her with the gang. I think she looks better with the gang, don't you? Let me know what you think in the comments. Should I do her again? I think I'll put up with her for now. I might try her again in the future. Thank you guys for watching these videos. Even if you don't plan on doing them, I appreciate that you're just here hanging out with me. And thank you to Ball Pit Addict for these tutorials. I appreciate you guys so much. Give it a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.